the head men's basketball coach at Syracuse. Jim Boeheim with us on the line. Unfortunately, he's not talking with Roger Weiland, who has a family issue this morning, so I know how bad this is going to break his heart. But Coach, you're on the line with Zach By and Chris Honorato. It's a great honor to talk to you. How are you this morning?
I'm good, thank you. It's always good to talk to people from Albany. We have great fans down in the Albany area.
When you think of the Capital District, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Oh, I think getting the Final Four run through there and getting to win our first, win our national championship. We came through Albany. The fans were unbelievable. It was like playing in Syracuse, really.
Yeah, I know so many fans in this area still champion that fact that, on your way through here 13 years ago that you did make a stop and we were part of the history because you do have so many fans here in upstate New York. Coach, let me ask you a question about your team. I mean, this is the basketball season is a marathon. It's the longest college season that there is. And earlier in the season, there was some reason for fans to have doubts about the year. And now you look at the last 2-week sample size, you've won 5 in a row, 2 against top 10 teams in the country. How is your team different now than it was a month and a half, 2 months ago?
Well, we have 4 first-year players in the starting lineup and a sophomore, Tyler Lydon, from down in your area. That's a young team. And in terms of experience, we're the youngest team in the country. 4 first-year players, 2 freshmen, two transfer seniors, and then Tyler. So it's a very young team. It took us a while. I think we're still getting better. Offensively, we've gotten a lot better. That's been a big key. Our defense hasn't got there yet. We're trying to get there, but these players never doubted anything. We struggled, and they just kept playing, kept going to work, and they've been able to turn this thing around, and it's been fun to watch it. I'm very proud of these guys. I mean, it would have been easy when you're 11-9 and you got the ACC schedule ahead to really think, boy, this thing's going to be hard. They didn't do that. They just went to work and really played good basketball, and that's what it takes. The ACC is probably the best league in the country again this year, and probably the best the league has been in a long time. So very difficult league to get through, but these guys have really played well, and very proud of what they've been able to accomplish so far.
Coach, you're being modest. I think far and away the ACC is the toughest when you see, teams go on the road, no matter who you're playing, not an easy W to get, as I know you guys will go to Pitt, and despite Pitt's record in the league, that won't be an easy place to win, as you know it. Jim, I wonder if I have some nostalgia, as I know you do, for the old Big East. Can you make a comparison for our listeners to what the gauntlet was like playing in those Big East days compared now to the ACC, which, like I said, I think is the best in the country?
Well, it was very similar. You had 9 or 10 NCAA teams, 11 one year. The bottom of the league was not quite as good as the bottom of the ACC is right now. That's probably the big difference, but great league, great league.
Jim Boeheim joining us this morning in Albany on Big Board Sports, so 104.5 The Team, ESPN Radio, your home for New York sports. And, Coach, just a couple minutes ago, we were talking to Mike Waters from the Syracuse Post-Standard, and one of the questions that we asked him, he said, hey, what's the ceiling of this basketball team? And he said, well, I don't know how high it is, but if you asked me this time last year, I probably would have viewed last year's teams the same I view this year's team, and they went, obviously on a Final Four run. As you look at the potential, as you're starting to play your best basketball here down the stretch of the conference season, do you see a light at the end of the tunnel to at least trying to get where you want to go eventually?
Well, I mean, anything's possible in college basketball. If you're a good team, and, we've got a good team. We've proven that we're pretty good. We've beaten 2 top 10 teams, and we won a couple road games. So we're good. We could probably, if we're in the NCAA tournament, we could probably lose in the first round, or we could probably win 2, 3, maybe even 4, 5, 6, I don't know. You just don't know. We didn't expect last year's team to be able to get to the Final Four. We got in the tournament. We played good basketball. we kept getting better as we got moved along, and pulled a couple upsets. That's the nature of college basketball. We were underdogs in both our games in the NCAA tournament, and we won them both. So it's possible, but it's very, very hard to do. Every game is going to be decided by a very, very thin margin, and you just don't know what's going to happen. You really don't. It's crazy. You watch all over college basketball, and crazy games happen. Kansas gets beat, Arizona gets beat, Duke, Virginia. There's just no telling what's going to happen in college basketball.
Coach, last question, and we'll let you get back to it. I know Roger will certainly try to hook up with you down the road here as the season goes on. But going back to the home win over Virginia and the number debate aside, your comments after that, Coach, calling it one of the best wins in your time there. Do you find yourself knowing what is planned to come after next season, cherishing any of this journey maybe a little more than you have in the past?
I don't. I focus on this year. I always think that the last 10 years, that any year could be the last year. You just don't know. You just try to get through this year, see what happens, and then evaluate what you want to do and what's best for the program and the players. And I just focus in on this year. Obviously, we want to win every game we play, and we need to do that. But that's pretty much how I think. I'm just trying to get through this year, get this game, next game. And in life, you have to focus on what you're doing right now. What you did yesterday isn't going to help you, and what's going to happen tomorrow isn't going to change anything either. So let's try to focus on what we're doing right now, get better as a team, and try to get some more wins. It's not easy to do, but we're excited about the way this team has come together and the way this team is playing. But it's a razor margin. We have a very thin margin between winning and losing. It's really close right now.
His name is Jim Boeheim. He's the head coach of Syracuse. He's one of the really great coaches in the history of the sport. And we thank you for taking out a couple minutes to talk to your fans here in the Capital District, Coach.
Thank you, Coach.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.